What's going on, y'all? Chuck Nutface here. The knife is pretty clearly a Microtech stitch. This one is in the urban camo pattern. Recently got this in from Knife Joy. Shout out to Knife Joy. They did a really great job. I had a question about payment and everything else and ordering, and they took care of me. Were able to help me out with something. And so shout out to Knife Joy. Great customer service. I'm sure a lot of people in the community are pretty familiar with them, and I've purchased from them in the past. I got one of their exclusives some time ago, but I don't normally and regularly shop there, but I'll definitely be checking them out more often now. Knife Joy is definitely good folks over there. So yeah, this just came in. Microtech stitch, auto, clearly. I had a stitch auto unserrated, so this is the one I currently have, the full serrated version of the stitch. I had a stitch manual, the Ramlock, and then I had the clear coat aluminum, the Apocalyptic, and I ended up selling the Ramlock simply because with the stitch, I definitely prefer the feel and hand, and frankly, just the look of the auto version over the Ramlock, the manual version. And I thought that this was going to be the one that I definitely wanted to keep, because I still feel that this is the stitch in its purest form, fully serrated. I just think it's 100% mean and just badass looking. But, and I kind of touched on this in another video, it's not the most practical thing to carry. The stitch in general is not the most practical thing to carry, but this especially, I would almost always have to carry another knife if I was going to carry EDC this, because I don't encounter in my daily life all that often situations where I need to have serrations. So I'm still considering, I've had this up for sale, and it hasn't sold, clearly, because I still have it. But I may end up hanging on to it. We'll just have to see, because I do like this model. I really do like this. This is the shadow stitch too, so I think there was some confusion with the sales post, because the all DLC stitch or Cerakote stitch, what I was asking for this one was about the same price as that one, but what people need to understand is that this is the shadow stitch, the signature series, and so it has none of the branding, none of the billboarding on the front of the blade that the standard model has. And so, I mean, if I do end up still selling it, and that's the price I'm asking, it's a pretty good price. But anyway, yeah. So this one came in. You know, there's talk in the community about, they like to say, there's just like a phrase where, oh, once you cut yourself with a knife, you make it yours. Ha ha ha. Well, I don't really subscribe to that all so much. I mean, if you stub your toe on an end table, does that make the end table yours? I mean, just because you hurt yourself with something doesn't necessarily make it yours. I definitely think, using and really sharpening something is when you make it yours. And even more so than that, damaging it, you kind of make it yours. Because especially with like a higher end knife, sometimes you'll have this hesitation where, if you're like me, you may you have a pretty high turnover rate on your knives, and you may end up turning it over and selling it pretty quickly simply because you want to get something else. And it has nothing to do with the knife being bad or anything like that. It's just, for me at least, it's sometimes something I don't click with something, or I just want to freshen up the collection, and I end up selling a knife. And I think when there's that hesitation of, do I really want to carry a really nice knife? Now, I wouldn't put this knife in that category. Yeah, it's a upgraded model. This is a signature series as well. So as you see, there's no billboarding on the blade. The only markings are on the clip right there. But I have no qualms about using this. I plan on using this, and I sharpened it today because, frankly, the edge was all right. It wasn't amazing. I've been finding Microtech edges to, generally speaking, be some of the most impressive factory edges out there. But this one just wasn't that hot. I mean, it was fine. It was perfectly functional, and it was sharp. but I wanted it sharper, so I put a nice 600 grit KME edge on it, and then, you know, went with strops. I mean, it's not a perfect mirror. I mean, yeah, it's reflective right now, but it's definitely not like a perfect mirror. You can see scratches in it and everything else, but yeah, I think sharpening a knife definitely makes it more yours than cutting yourself with it. And you know, that comment is more, that phrase is more tongue-in-cheek within the community, I think. It's kind of like, oh, I cut myself. You know, you see it on Instagram or Blade forums or something like that. You say, oh, I cut myself on my knife, and oh, it's yours now. Ha ha ha. You know, I mean, some people subscribe to that, but I definitely don't subscribe to that. I think sharpening it and putting your own edge on it definitely makes it more yours. And then with higher end knives, when you kind of get that point where you kind of baby them for the first few days and few weeks or whatever, you carry them, but you baby them. When you finally get that first ding in the scale, or chip in the blade, or scratch in the blade, or you drop it, or you do something like that, you just get some scuffs on it a little bit, then you can really use the knife and you can really enjoy the knife, because you're not concerned as much about keeping it in pristine condition. And some people don't care about that at all, and some people have safe queens, and that's totally fine. I'm the type that if I can't carry something and at least use it lightly, I'm not interested in it anymore, and it's going to get sold. And I've done that at times. I've done that with some very, very nice knives. I'm like, I can't bring myself to get this knife damaged. It's just too pretty. So I don't like safe queens, so they just get sold. But yeah, I think when you actually damage a knife, I think you can really start enjoying the knife at that time, because that fear, I guess you could call it, or that it's freeing, it's liberating when you actually damage your really nice knife. I wouldn't put this knife in that category. I think this is a user. I think this is a knife you carry, you use, you enjoy. Even if it is quote unquote upgraded. But I'm really happy to have this one. I would definitely like to get the woodland camo. I think those look great. It's got browns and greens and blacks in it and everything else. This is just definitely gray. I mean, it's the urban camo. I think it looks awesome too. I did put a lanyard on this last night. I had some rawhide. I think paracord would probably be better, but I don't have any paracord right now, not enough at least, to do a full lanyard. And I wanted to use a bead on this too. And this is a bead from a Lamech. When you get a knife from a Lamech, they ship a bead with it, so it's like a skeletal bat. So I got a couple Lamech beads kind of lying around, and so I put this bead on there. But yeah, I just did a snake knot, average, nothing fancy about it, and then put this bead on there too, and then used a little, since you can't burn rawhide, at least to my knowledge, you can't really burn it. I just used a little super glue on it just to kind of make sure it stayed in place. We'll see if I get some paracord, maybe I'll put a lanyard on it. We'll see. I'll do one of those, but whatever. I like this for right now. And the reason I think this is a good model to have a lanyard on, and I'm not one for lanyards, but the pocket clip on these is pretty tight, and it can get hung up on your pants. It's definitely possible for that to happen. Get the clip that kind of gets hung up on your pants, and you find yourself, at least me, when I'm taking it out, I'm holding it just like that, and I don't really have a great purchase on the knife, and there's a good chance I'll drop it. And so with that lanyard, I can kind of grab onto that with my pinky and my ring finger and just secure it that way. So when I'm pulling it out of my pocket, I've got that in my hand too, and I have more of a purchase on the knife. It's a little more secure. So I think this is a good model. Even if you're not one for lanyards, I think this is a good candidate for a lanyard. And I like the bead. I want to use the bead. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I like that kind of skeletal bat right there. I think it's pretty sweet. But anyway, it's going to do it for me. Moving my camera here. You almost got Chuck Sunface. There we go again. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. Those of you that have subscribed to the channel, I certainly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Definitely appreciate you doing that. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about what I've talked about, damaging your knife or cutting yourself or anything like that. Give me a follow on Instagram at Chuck_Nunface, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.